I'm Emma Mitchell, and I'm an energy healing guide. And of course, I'm here again with Rebecca Fishkin. Today, we're talking about your day getting derailed. Again, when we're in this reactive mode to somebody derailing your day, figuring out why you're going into this habit of people pleasing, and also how to align expectations and get to the root of why you keep falling into those patterns. So, let's start off. Rebecca, why don't you tell us about disassociating?
Okay. Thank you very much, Emma. So, this is something that I am sure that all of us have had the pleasure of doing or displeasure, depending on how you look at it. And that is when something is not going the way that we had planned. And as Emma said, derailed, or we're in reactive mode. Sometimes our reaction can be irrational, or it shows that we are irritated, and that doesn't necessarily that's not may not be fair to the person that you're talking to. So the idea is, if you, and more importantly, when you are aware that you're doing this, if you disassociate, meaning instead of looking through your own eyes, just kind of pull back and look at the situation and realize and get some awareness around it. Realize that this is not something that you had planned today. This was not part of what you wanted to do at this time. This person is obviously in crisis. So, how can we respond in a much more calm, accepting manner so that we can then do all of the things that can either protect us and give us the opportunity to get clarity from them so that we can move forward. Otherwise, by us just staying in that irritated mode, that we're just going to butt heads, and it's not going to be a win. No one's winning in this, and they're just going to get more angry. And then you have to go back because you're going to think about it in the middle of the night, right? And go, I could have handled that so much better. And now you have to go back with your tail between your legs and go, look, I'm really sorry about yesterday. I was in a bad place, blah, blah, blah. So let's avoid that. So by disassociating, we get out of our head, out of our own way, and can get more awareness. And then once we have that more clear headedness, we can then go into things. And Emma, what are you thinking of? How do you bring yourself back into the center of things?
Well, I love this concept of disassociating. Something that I learned a few years ago, and I believe it's a mindfulness technique, is to simply pausing, right? The pause is the hardest part of all of this. We know it internally, we know we have to pause when something happens, but sometimes we don't. Or sometimes I pause and then I still do the reactive thing. But when we're in the pause, can we maybe close our eyes? Take in a deep breath, maybe feel the air on our nose, maybe feel the air on our skin, touch our clothing. We can even have our eyes open and look at the person in front of us and really take note of the details of their face. We can even listen for words. If they're talking to you, maybe don't do this, but if you're sitting by yourself, listen to the sounds around you. And these are all mindfulness techniques to bring yourself back in your body, like you're talking about, almost this disassociating, but instead it's a connection to yourself, a connection to what I call soul, right? Like this inside of us that's just there, present, peaceful. So those are ways that I bring myself back into that pause. Another thing that I try to remember, which I'm terrible at sometimes, is reframing the perspective. Somebody said this years ago to me. Think of it as a project, not a problem. So if somebody's coming to you with their issue, how can you turn the conversation or this thing that they need you to do into a fun project or problem solving mode rather than, this is a problem that's on my plate now and I have to do it because, like you had said, when we're in reactive mode, that's a problem. But when we're in project mode, that kind of opens us up to be more efficient, productive, possibly excited about what we're working on with them. So I know you are going to talk about holding your boundaries when you do get to that point of knowing you've paused, you
Mhm.
know, this isn't right for me. I'm not going to do this right now. How do you hold your boundaries gently? And I want you to talk about this because I'm not great about this all the time.
Well, see, that's awareness right there. So there's some things that to going into this, as you're talking about, once you're realizing this and becoming almost like a problem solver, fixer role is helpful, it may not be what that person needs. So it's getting clarity. There's a commercial on TV right now that says, "You're not a mechanic. Don't try to fix them." I I love that saying. We can't always fix their problems or make them do something differently. However, we have boundaries, right? We've gone through, we've done our time blocking, we've got the white space, and this is not in the white space. So I think there's a couple of things you were talking about. If they're talking to you face to face, that's one thing. However, how many times have you read an email or a text message and you reacted, but keep in mind that that may not have been their intent, but because of your state of mind, you're reading it differently in a different voice than what their intention is. So by reframing it back, so let me just so that I can get clarification. This is what you're looking for. And we can do that in person through email or via text. And that way we can get everybody on the same page and you get a chance to take a deep breath rather than reacting to them and saying things that you really have no intention of saying. So when we also have our boundaries, so this is not part of my job description or this is not part of my plan for today. I really have these other deadlines that have been imposed on me from other directions. So I need to get clarification on if I say yes to you and help you with this, then that means that I can't do this other project. What do you think? What would be the best way for me to move forward? Do you think that this is more important than that? Or can I get to it in an hour or tomorrow or 2 days from now? So by stating that, you are sticking with your boundaries and being very gentle with stating to them, this may not be the best thing for me right now. However, I recognize that this is important to you. So, how would you like me to move forward? And that way, we're kind of easing, getting people to calm down, getting on the same page, getting clarity on the deadlines and when they actually need it. Because I will also say, the majority of the time, when someone puts something on your plate, regardless of the delivery, unless they say, I need this immediately, you can pick it up and run with it, but that's on you. That was not their intention when they gave it to you. So getting some clarity on that and asking. So when I had an assistant for a long time and um, she trained me, I'm saying, I would give her a task and she would turn around and she would say, okay, and do you want this by, when do you want this by? And how long do you think it'll take? So that helped her set her boundaries and expectations and get clarity from me.
Those are all really great points. And we were talking a few weeks ago about people we know that are on their day off, for example, and then they'll get a message from somebody and then they'll still deal with it. And I'm like, but did they really need that right now? You could have said, for example, some property managers I know, they're on their day off, but they're still calling and texting and doing all these things when they could have just said, here's the emergency line for or here's the person who is working today. And I know, I'm gonna sound a little bit maybe harsh, but when you take up time from other people you're around, for example, like in a group setting, and you're dealing with other people's emergencies at that point, then what are you taking away from for the group too? Or what are you taking away from your life with your significant other or your family by always dealing with these things for other people and not asking those questions? you know, and the more you
That's
do
really
it,
good.
yeah, the
I
more
like
you
what you're
do it.
saying because my husband and I are also business partners, and I've set boundaries where my phone shuts off at 6:30 and he doesn't. So we're finally having a nice dinner together, or we're playing a game and he's responding to things on his phone. And he said, "Yeah, but this time it's important." Well, you just allowed them to continue that behavior. So do you want to enable someone to know that you are available outside your business hours? And because if you do, then why bother having business hours?
That's a really good point. And actually, the other day, my boyfriend and I went um, for an hour and a half away, and he forgot his work phone. And he's like, "Oh, I need to go back. I need to go back." And I said, "Then we're just going to go back and we're not going to go do this thing because that's adding an extra hour to our time just because you need your work phone when you have the day off." And I said, "Can't you just text your team that, you don't have your phone?" Because in theory, they should be able to handle whatever comes up anyway. But he's like on 24/7. And so he did. He texted them. And I was so proud of him because he went the whole day without his work phone. And it just was like a different day. It felt like a different day for us, like
Yeah,
finally kind of removing the tether just a little tiny bit. But it was really nice that he was able to do that. And I thought he was gonna freak out, but he didn't. He was cool and calm about it. But there was some question marks there. But yeah, I agree. The other thing about holding boundaries that we've talked about before is not having to go into a long explanation about why you're holding your boundary either. I've seen it where people have given a three-page three paragraphs about why they have to do something tomorrow. And I'm like, I didn't care. Like, just tell me it will come tomorrow. I don't need your three-hour explanation of why you can't do something. To me, that still feels like people pleasing. That feels like, please, I'm still bowing down to you. I still want your approval for you to tell me that it's okay that I'm holding my boundary. And I don't think that's a good idea either because that can just sound like an excuse when you're not just saying firmly and gently like you did, I need to do these things, or I'm able to get this to you tomorrow. When do you need this? Those kinds of questions. The person probably doesn't need to know most of the other things because they didn't care to begin with. They just want their thing.
exactly. It's about the thing. It's about the activity or the task. It is not about you. It's not about what your to-do list is. It's not about them. It is about that task. And sometimes we forget about that. And you mentioned people pleasing. And I think one of the questions is why, if you find that you are someone who is a people pleaser, why do you people please? What is the reasoning behind it? And there's several explanations that we've come up with, but hopefully one of these resonate with you, or you may have something completely different. But it could be, for instance, well, that was kind of fun. Speaking of reactive, we just had some technical difficulties. So let's get right back into things again. So why do we people please? Sometimes it's because, for instance, we might be starting a new business, or we are working for somebody who's a little bit more demanding, and we want to make sure that we can validate that our importance. And other times it might be some programming from our past that might cause us to feel like we need to get validation and a sense of worthy. If I put on my superwoman cape and I go around all day saving and fixing everybody else, then that might make me look like a savior and an amazing person. I did so much today. None of it was on my to-do list, but I helped all of these people, and that's part of my purpose in life. That's great, except you can't live like that. If you constantly are a people pleaser, you're going to burn yourself out because you're not going to ever do things for you. You're doing it for the recognition or appreciation or fill in the blank from other people. So that's not necessarily the best way to proceed. What are some things that you've experienced with people pleasing?
Yeah, those are great ones. Big ones that I see is fear of loss of reputation, fear of losing a relationship, and fear of losing your money or your job. And a lot of it does come down to this worthiness. When you're talking about being a superwoman, people only see you as that. They don't see you as a person anymore. They see you as a fixer. They see you as somebody who is going to come in with your toolkit. You're going to fix a thing and then you're going to leave. They don't give a typically don't give a crap about your actual being. You as a person, your needs, wants, cares about the world. They're just going to see you as that superwoman and that's it. And so, a lot of the stuff I do is connection, teaching people how to connect to others and themselves. People pleasing is the worst way to connect with other people because they don't see you for who you are, which is a beautiful, smart, lovely person that's beyond just fixing their problems. So those are the big things I see. We were
Can
talking
I
before. Oh,
can
go
I
ahead.
add on to that for a second?
Yeah,
That also creates a one-sided relationship. And now when you have a need, they aren't going to be there because you're the person that fixes everything. So why would you need them for anything? So, but that way, whenever you call them, they might pick up the phone or they might not. Or when you reach out to them, they may respond or they may not. They probably won't because they're only used to you at that capacity and not in any other way.
great point. And then you end up feeling resentful, frustrated, used. You know, man, I wish I had written this down before, but what is that saying about nobody can make you feel a certain way? You're the only one who can feel a certain way. Well, if you're feeling used, it's probably because you're allowing yourself to be used by somebody else. There's always two to tango, right? There's always two people in a situation where there's this using behavior or you fixing everything for them. Um, the other thing that we talked about before was entrepreneurship, because you and I are both entrepreneurs. We know when we start out, and I did this too. I started out and my service prices were really, really low. And I gave everybody a lot of time and a lot of things for free because I didn't see my own worth or value. And I didn't really know, do people like this? Do they want this? Do I have the skills in this? But as I tried and true showed up, proved that I've gotten, really strong in my skills and I'm providing big value, my value in my inside myself, my self-worth has gone up. So my boundaries are going up too. But, we have, and I'm sure those people watching are going to say there's a lot of stories for themselves too about this. We've both had clients where they started off with us on this level of giving, 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 and then they still expect that from us a year, 2 years later. And I personally have had to tell clients, I was giving you all this time before, but we're doing this now. We're not this, we're this with our time. And some of them have left me, and I've said, you know what, that's okay. If they can't respect my time boundaries, Well, then they're probably not the right client for me anyway. I want to work with people who respect me and who see me raising up in my value. But it makes sense as you're just starting out that you kind of let people trample over you. And I know it's the same in the business world too when you're working for somebody. You're trying to prove that you should be there. And sometimes those boundaries get trampled a little bit.
It does, and luckily over time, those people that disrespect you get shake out. I think it's they weed out with the people that do respect you. But at the beginning, yeah, we're scrambling to build a business, and the more people who experience what we do and our services, the the faster we can build our business. I have a friend of mine who's building an engineering company. He is brilliant at what he does, and he's traveling all over the state in order to build his business. He has zero relationship with his wife. So part of this is how he's go is this for the short term or is this the long term? Is there a deadline? Like, is this going to happen for like 8 months, 12 months, 3 years, 10 years? Like, what habits are you creating? Because if you're going around the state and you're saving all of these people with all of your engineering expertise, that's awesome. Except that you're forgetting about the people that are the foundation of who you are and when you aren't working. So just those are things to think about when we say, as I kind of have alluded to, when you say yes to this, what are you saying no to? Are you saying yes, that they're more important than not only your deadlines and the things that you have on your priorities? You're also saying by you going back and getting your business phone, you are saying no to being fully present with me. And that's not okay with me. So good for you for saying something, by the way. Hopefully, he doesn't get ticked off by our talking about it this way.
He doesn't have the capacity to watch one of these videos.
Well, there's that too. We've been talking about why do we people please? Okay, so now we're starting to, oh, I do that. And I need to figure out how to stop doing that. So how does that happen? So if you are in the middle of a situation and you find yourself reacting either irritably or, oh yeah, okay, I'll do it. Okay. Like if you're doing any of that and you step back, like if you just quickly disassociate and you go, oh man, I'm doing it again. Awesome. Okay, so let me think more about what I'm doing. So take that. Just it doesn't even matter if it is outside or inside. Take that deep breath, reset, and then go back and say, okay, so I need to think about this. Maybe, can I get back to you in 5 minutes? Let me just take a look at things, get a better perspective, and then I can come back to you. That might be helpful. That way they also get to, because maybe it is they came running in going, oh my God, this totally just happened and I need your help with it. My computer crashed and you're my tech guy. It's like fill in the blank. Is it truly an emergency? So if I get back to you in 5 minutes, we both get a little bit of deep breath, get out of that reactive mode, and now we can both approach it in a more calm manner. That might help. Or if you find later, oh, I totally people pleased on that. So then maybe still be the fixer, but then turn around when you get things back to them or respond to them, say, I realized that I did this on the fly for you. I'm kind of behind on some of my deadlines now. And I just in the future, I may not be as quick, but I still want to help you. We just need to talk more clarity with how quickly you need something done or kind of do the things that we just talked about. Get more clarity. But maybe that'll help. What about you, Anything that you can think of once now that you're aware?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is forgiveness for yourself. When you catch yourself doing it, try really hard to not do the beat up thing, right? Like, oh, I'm so stupid. Why did I do that again? I was trying to not, because, and I'm guilty of this too. It's happened so many times where I've said, I'm not going to do this anymore. And then I run over time on a session, like a Reiki session with somebody. And then I go home and I complain to my boyfriend, like, oh, I did it again. And he's, there's been a few times where he said, you got to stop beating yourself up about that. You at least know it, right? Like I looked at the clock and I was like, dang it, I did it again. What am I going to do different next time? This time it happened again. But the beating up is what really makes us spiral out. And I think it makes it worse. Last video, I believe we talked about this inner child technique. But what I found when I'm people pleasing, it's oftentimes my inner child, maybe a 5-year-old version of myself, screaming, please, somebody pay attention to me. Please, I want to be loved. I want to be known. I want a reputation of whatever. So can you go in maybe after the fact? And these are, tools that we can teach you too, but can you go back in after the fact and ask yourself, okay, what age was that? What did my inner child need in that moment? What was going on there? And you might come to some conclusions. A while ago, I realized that there was this part of me that was looking for attention just even from a friend, where I was like, hello, hello, hello. So I was doing all this stuff. But when I realized, oh, that was just my little me not feeling loved, I was able to change it and reframe the situation. And then I didn't feel so embarrassed about how I handled my reactions to things too. So a lot of it's like about grace and knowing that there's like a little you inside yourself that's probably looking for that love or has a fear of instability or something like that. And then, just to mention, of course, we're going to mention this. You and I, this is what we do. This is how we help people. When you find yourself continually going into these patterns and you're maybe trying really hard to get out of it, you keep going down this rabbit hole of people pleasing. This is how you and I help. We help with energy clearing techniques. We help with mindset. We help with reprogramming your brain to let go of maybe these old emotions, old things that are keeping you back in this 5-year-old version of yourself or this teenage version of yourself that you're still holding on to this old thing that's making your brain almost say, it happened this way once, it's going to happen that way again. We try and reframe that for you. We help you kind of remove those blocks. So I don't know if you have something else you want to say about that, Rebecca, for how we can help.
Absolutely. I think part of it is sometimes we're aware that we're people pleasing, but we don't understand why. Um, I actually ended up being in burnout 3 times. The last time was bad. Like it was 6 months on the couch, unable to move, couldn't make decisions. And I ended up going, I'm being totally vulnerable because I don't want this for other people to go to this extreme. It took me 12 weeks of group therapy for 4 hours a day, 3 times a week to discuss all of the things that were going on in my head and to get understanding of, oh, that's why. So if you find that you are overwhelmed by doing so much for other people, even if it is part of your purpose and your mission is to help other people to the point that you are exhausted, you have random health issues, etc., something has to change. Otherwise, you're going to end up like I did. So if all it takes is having a conversation with one or the other of us, either Emma or myself, and we can help with exploratory questions to help you figure out where is this coming from? What's the foundation of this habit so that we can help you figure out a better solution, so that you can take better care of yourself so that you can then help people at a greater level. So I think sometimes we just aren't aware that we're people pleasing. So just a different way of thinking about it.
Well, the other thing is, if you're people pleasing, you're putting other people first. You're saying, I'm not worth, my dreams aren't worthy. I don't deserve happiness. I don't deserve quality time with my family or my friends. I don't deserve to meet my own goals because you're putting everybody else's stuff first and you're saying, I don't matter so much. So that's like the biggest danger of this. I mean, what you went through is a pretty big danger too. But the danger of not having control over your own life is a huge problem with people pleasing, that you are allowing everybody else to say that their stuff is more important than yours. And that's not true. And Rebecca and I will tell you all day long that you're deserving and you're worthy and you get to have and live in your own dreams, but you have to let go of these patterns and habits to get there.
Absolutely. Focus on you. I struggled for many, many years with the whole put the oxygen mask on yourself before somebody else that might need you. And in my brain, I kept going, but that other person could be a 5-year-old. They absolutely need my help. Well, what happens if you can't get the mask on to them and rest and help them because you haven't taken care of yourself and now you both are lost? So you can give more to other people when you take care of yourself. I will also say that a lot of the things that we're talking about, if you allow this pattern to go on, I bet you also have a lot of trouble sleeping at night. So our next episode is how is to set you up with some tools and exercises that you can do so that you can set yourself up for a better night's sleep. And if when you wake up in the middle of the night, how you can help get yourself back to sleep again so that you can be take care of yourself so that you can help people the next day. Sound good?
Yeah, that'll be great. Well, awesome. I'm happy we did this video today, and I think we had a lot of good stuff in here. So, anything else, Rebecca, before we sign off?
I am good. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Have a good rest of your day.
Take care.